Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Barry, that Goat Metal Show, along with my partners, Rich, the silent producer, Tone Joker NYC. We're here with a very special guest. We're here with Iron Megan.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
How you
All
doing?
right,
All
we
right.
yeah, we've been wanting to have Megan on for a little while. I mean, she is a fabulous artist, and she's just been part of our community for quite some time. You know, through the chats and through everything, and she's a big part of this community. And we wanted to give her a chance to get on and learn more about the great Megan.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm blushing.
Megan, I mean, my first question is gonna be for you. It's like, how you doing? And give us a quick rundown. How's everything been going with you?
Dude, I've been good. Busy working on some stuff. I don't know if I've said it explicitly. I'm gonna say it here, so this might be an exclusive. Working on the album cover for the next Kai release. So
Sorry.
yeah, and possibly doing the layout for it also. I don't know. We're gonna have a meeting about it this week at some point. But yeah, I've been busy working on that. My commissions all got pushed back from the end of the year because I was sick for like 2 fucking months. It was
Wow.
horrible. Yeah, like the worst. I don't know what it was, like a sinus. I don't know what it was. It was like the worst I've ever felt in my life. So everything got pushed back. So I'm playing catch up, and part of that was a little t-shirt design I did for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I saw it. Very, very happy with it. By the way, that looks
thank you.
awesome. Awesome.
I'm so glad you love it. That was so much fun for me because, Tone, approached me about it, and he was like, "Yeah, just do whatever you want." And I was like, "Oh, that's too much freedom." I'm like, I could do some pretty fucked up shit. But,
Hey,
you know,
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're all about the imagery, the best. I mean, and then we can even cool. I mean, I really, really the stuff you did on Warhammer. Oh man,
thank you.
it's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Really, really
Thank you.
cool. And all it's do is it's going to give you that more exposure and maybe some more bands. Hey, I want some of that Iron Maiden artwork in there. Why not?
Yeah. No, dude, it's funny because like that Warhammer is my first album cover I've ever done. Um, oh, look at Rich representing.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that was my first album cover, but I've done a lot of like layout stuff for bands before and like graphic design type stuff or whatever, but I've never actually done like a proper cover. And I remember Lee approached me and he was like, "Could you do like a landscape like Bathory, like, like Blood Fire Death, like all that stuff?" I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Well, I'd have to paint it because I don't think I could do that with pencil." And he was like, "Yeah, no, you can do it." He basically had way too much confidence in me. And I was like, "Thanks, no pressure." But he he was like, "No, you got it, you got it." And I swear to God, and I said this probably previously to someone, what I did was I put on this is so funny, just an episode of The Joy Painting with Bob Ross, and an episode
Oh,
with like a mountain landscape. Yeah, and I was like, I watched a episode and I went, okay, we're gonna try it, fuck it. And then I painted that. So I watched exactly one episode of Bob Ross. I channeled my spirit guide, aka Bob Ross, and we got it done. So it's so funny because I always say, like, he made me paint it, and Lee's like, "What the fuck? I didn't make you do anything."
yeah.
But so to clarify, he did not make me paint it. I chose to paint it, but that was like one of my first ever landscape paintings ever, and one of my first album covers ever. So it was very special for me, to be asked to do that and be a part of that. And I'm very proud of it. So
Yeah.
I bought a
That's good.
copy for my dad, and my dad's like, "I'm never opening this. This is a collector's item."
Ah, that's sweet. That's sweet. That's really,
Dude, I
really
love my
cool.
dad. He's
Oh man.
where I learned all my artistic skills from. My dad is also an artist, so whatever
Nice.
I learned, it was through him. And literally, I learned how to draw portraits sitting at a bar one day with my dad. And I was like, "I want to draw people." And he was like, "Okay." And then 15 minutes later, scrawling on a bar napkin. And then I did portraits after that. It's just like that's how I kind of always learned with my art. It was just trial and error.
That's cool.
Yep. I never
That's
really
cool.
took any classes, anything like that. But So it's, very sentimental to me, a lot of these things that I do, because I just kind of do them, like I don't really think about it. I don't really like, you know, think too technically, I guess. I'm not like, oh, it has to be just like this because this person does it this way. I just kind of, and that's not an answer people like, because
Yeah.
they want to know, like, how do you do this? It's like, I just do it. It's like, I say the same thing about musicians. People play guitar. That's like witchcraft to me. I don't know how guitars work. So yeah, that's kind of what I've had going on right now. Just working on some art, kind of laying low this time of year. I don't really get too much as it is, um have some exciting things to look forward to this year. Hopefully someone else will ask me to do an album cover. That would be really cool.
All right.
Excited for Kai though too, for sure.
That's
And
gonna
don't
be
forget,
interesting.
you're still gonna do a shirt from them sketchy boys.
Oh yes,
Ah,
that's also it. Yes, I have that. Probably after I finish the album artwork, that is what I'm gonna do. I already know what I'm gonna do, by the way. So it's gonna be
just don't
kind of
get
ridiculous.
going out of every club we go to.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be totally ridiculous, and people are gonna give you such looks like, "What the hell are they? What is that?"
oh
But
my
yeah, no,
God.
looking forward to it.
All right. Rich, you got something you want to tell her? You got one of your
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, sure. Before we move on, just so that we get it out the way, if people want to check out your artwork, like let's say on Instagram or anything else, what are the sites that they can check it out?
Yep. So I'm just on Instagram for
Mm-hmm.
the time being. I'm at ethereal.visions.art. And the dots are important because people can't find me without them.
Oh,
But yeah, I have an email too, etherealvisionsart at Gmail, where you can contact me. But my only social media like page that I have is just the Instagram. So if you want to commission me or, just buy sell prints, all my prints are made to order. So if you want any prints or anything, you can message me through there and I will send you some artwork.
Sweet.
Nice. And then my next question is, you have a twin sister. A lot of people don't know it, and you guys have a podcast. So tell us a little bit about the podcast.
Yep. So I do a podcast with my twin sister Lauren. It's called the Gemini Archives, and we named it the Gemini Archives because we are Geminis, so astrologically, and we are also twins. So we just appreciate the double entendre, and you know, um, we did the podcast. We started it in 2018, I want to say, and we were on, I think, just Apple Podcast or whatever the hell it is, and um we just did it just like as a way to just get through some pretty rough times. That's all, I'm going to put it that way. Just we have been through a lot of shit and we just needed like something, an outlet. And it's funny, like a friend of ours made a backhanded comment of like, oh, you should like record this. We were like having conversation. I'm like, oh, you guys should record this stuff, it's really hilarious. I'm like, I don't think I'm funny, but fuck it, we'll do it. And I love Kevin Smith also, and he's a big proponent of like, just fuck it, start a podcast. He has like 15 of them. So
mhm.
he's like, like, screw. And I looked at Lauren like, why don't we just, and I swear to God, our setup was just like two microphones on like a little like TV tray in Lauren's bedroom. Like,
Wow.
it was very rough and the editing was very bad. And I'm still not great at it, but we've been doing it for a while now. We just do it when we can. Lauren was living in Utah for a while, so we didn't really have time to record as much as we had in the past, and we've just been recording a little bit more recently, and we've had some people on like Francisco jamming auto badass, and Necron, the Witching Hour, and Mike of Ruin, Mike Abominator, and we've had our friends join us also, but we mainly talk about just stuff we find interesting. So just weird stuff we find around the internet, a lot of like analog horror type stuff or like paranormal
Mhm.
things and stuff like that, just weird stuff that we're into. And we have a very small niche following, but I love that because it gives us an easier way to like connect with the people that we reach. And we moved the podcast to YouTube a few years ago, and that's kind of like where we found a little bit more traction than we may have had before. And we love doing it. It's very small. We're also on Instagram, the Gemini Archives. You'll see by how little we post on there, like how little we actually record, because it's just kind of like whenever the hell we feel like doing it. Like we never plan to monetize off of it or anything like that. But we have a lot of fun. It's basically just a place for us to talk about stuff we find interesting and hang out with our friends, and which is like most podcasts. But we call it the archives because sometimes I forget things and then we have it recorded and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. So, we have fun with the podcast. More episodes should be coming soon. We finally have like a setup that like works. Before it was a little like hard to record, like record regularly, but yeah, so we're looking forward to it. Lauren is also into metal like me. For anyone that doesn't really know much about her, she's also into metal. But she's a little bit more nerdy than I am. She's a gamer, and she loves like anime and stuff like that. So it's not really my thing, but I we always have like different perspectives of things and stuff too. So yeah, it's if you want to check it out, we're on YouTube. It's you know some of our episodes are really ridiculous. Like we have one episode we did years ago where we just read comments from Pornhub. So it's just I don't know what possessed us to do that, but it's like I still get comments to this day about that episode, just like, what the hell were you doing? But we thought it was funny at the time, and I look back now and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty hilarious. So yeah, for anyone that's interested, we're on YouTube if you want to check it out.
That sounds like some great entertainment.
Yeah.
We do our best.
All right, Tom, you got something?
Yeah. Quick question: how long has your podcast been going on?
So we started 2018. So shit, I'm not good at math. Almost a decade now.
Yeah.
I think that's the right answer. 8 years. There we go. We've been doing it 8 years. 8 years officially in May. So more like 7-ish years at this point.
That's great.
Nice.
So, my question to you was about what made you start doing artwork besides your father's? What do you take for inspiration when they ask you to do work? Because I've gotten some stuff from you that I was going to show that is inspired. Check this out.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. And things I just love the way you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good, right?
Oh yeah, Morbosa Dad. All the goats, all the goat bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was my favorite right here. This
Beast of Warlust. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so you
you.
listen to like metal or what to pick up inspiration of when you start you doing your artwork, or it just comes to you?
I guess it just comes to me. I like sometimes I don't know, like I've been told from musicians that it's kind of the same thing where it's like you'll just get random bouts of like inspiration and you're like, ooh, I want to do that, so sometimes I'll just be sitting there like with that Power from Hell painting I gave you. I actually was, yeah, there it is. So you see like on the corners like those little like metal pieces. I had bought those. I made a jewelry box for someone and I put those on the corners, and I'm like, that makes me think of the Power from Hell. They have those things in the corners. I was like, I should just do a painting and glue those things on there. How fucking funny would that be? And then it turned out pretty cool, So sometimes it's just little like moments of like, oh, like that would be really cool. And then other times, mostly it's commissions and excuse me, but as far as inspiration, like my portraits especially are inspired by old Hollywood and like black and white movies and TV shows and stuff. Like I draw a lot of like old Hollywood type people because that's just my interest. But I always like that black and white style. I always thought it was very timeless. And I love like silent movies and stuff like that. So like I have like, I wish I grabbed it, but I have like a whole portfolio of just like portraits I did of old Hollywood like stars like Frank Sinatra and like Lucille Ball and just like people that I watched growing up. And a lot of my inspiration comes from that like style and using like lighting as a
Mhm.
way to like create drama rather than just like color. Because a lot of my stuff you see is like black and white. That's just kind of how I've always, I don't know, it naturally, that's what I gravitated towards. And, you know, I would say, yeah, like a lot, especially the Twilight Zone. Because if you
I was
ever,
about to say that because I know
yeah,
spoken with you about that. That's huge on Twilight Zone.
oh yeah, because like if you ever watch those episodes where it's like, the episode with the dummy, which is my favorite, and
Yeah, that's cool.
they didn't
Yeah.
have any special effects back then. They just like had someone off screen turn his head, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's so scary!" But to create drama, they had to like, they show like dark corridors and stuff like that, and like use like really dark, heavy shadows and stuff. And I always thought that was way more effective than like, CGI or something, which CGI is cool in its own way. But, for me personally, I just thought that was very cool. So I try to emulate that in my artwork by using different shadows and contrasts and stuff like that to kind of create what I'm doing. And that's just, a big inspiration for me. And it's very funny that you mentioned my dad too, because my dad's the opposite. Like he does not do that at all. So when he saw me starting to do that, he was like kind of concerned. He was like, Megan, this is very dark. I'm like young. I was like young when I started. And he's like, this is very like adult for someone your age. And I was just like, oh well. I'm like, this is what I drew. So yeah, but I would say overall definitely like black and white movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Nice.
Oh, that's good. Is your sister too? Does she draw?
Nope.
No?
Lauren does not draw. It's funny. Twins are, very similar, but we're actually pretty different in a lot of ways. Lauren's more of a gamer. I can't play even like Atari games like with two buttons.
Sorry.
I can't, I'm just so bad. But she's like doing all kinds, she's like doing 18 things at once, like one of these types of game. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so but yeah, no, Lauren, she gravitated towards music. Like she started to learn how to play guitar and stuff like that, and I don't know why she stopped, but she was really good at it. But yeah, no, as far as art, like me and my dad are the only ones in the whole family, like not even just my immediate family, but like the whole family that were like artists. So I don't know. The apple fell from a very specific tree, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, well, all right. Well, my question, considering we're talking about as far as your love of music and metal, give us a quick little history on how you basically got into metal and what was like your favorite bands when you started and how did it develop from there?
Oh shit. Well, speaking of my dad also likes metal. So
Nice.
yeah, so my dad's favorite band is Metallica. My dad turned 61 last year. So he saw Metallica from their, inception. So that's why he always had a loyalty to them. But so that's what I grew up around and like listening to them. And I had cousins that played in punk bands. In Connecticut, punk hardcore stuff is very prevalent. So we we're always exposed to that. And I think it was like 10 or 11. I just remember like I had a cousin, his name was Jim, who's no longer here with us. He was big into the Misfits and was like, here, check this out. Like you're starting to get into horror movies and stuff. The Misfits is very horror based. And he was like, check this out. And I was like, okay, cool. And I think he gave me the Legacy Brutality on CD. And I listened to it and I was like, what the hell am I listening to right now? So the Misfits were kind of like my introduction to stuff that was not mainstream, I'll put it that way. But for metal, it was Iron Maiden because
I mean, good choice.
Yeah, I remember being around that same time too. Like I just, this is still when record stores were, pretty popular. So I was 11 in 2003. We're gonna say that. And I remember seeing Iron Maiden's self-titled record, Iron Maiden, in the store, and just the artwork. Eddie looks like he'd been electrocuted. I was just like, what is this? Like, this is really cool. So, I saw, because of the artwork, I picked it up and I listened to it, and then I remember seeing the song Iron Maiden and thought that was really funny. that it was also like the name of the album and the band and the song were all the same. So I was like, I'm gonna listen to this. But that opening riff for that song, I was like, well, this is just what I love for the rest of my life, and I was hooked at that point, and it just kind of, how it goes, it snowballs. You just hear other bands just from reading liner notes and stuff. And as far as extreme music, shit, I'm trying to think how I don't even really fully remember. I just remember I think I picked up like a Headbangers Ball compilation like one day, and just like I listened to, I don't know, I think it was like Deicide or something was on there, and I just remember thinking like, people can do this with music, like that's crazy. And considering I was full of piss and vinegar, it really appealed to me. So I was like, okay, cool. And then it just kind of went from there. And I remember befriending someone when I was in high school that was in a local band from around here called Arduous Task. And he knew all the underground bands and stuff, and Baphomet's Horns was relevant at that time. They were together. And I remember seeing them, and it was just, I'm like 15. I saw Anal Cunt at 15 also.
Wow.
Which is
15.
hilarious. Wow. On a date, some guy asked me out on a date, and he was like, we're gonna go check out this band, and I was like, okay. And he didn't tell me who, and we show up and it's Anal Cunt, and I was like, where am I right now? Like, what is happening? So that's a funny story. But and of course, like I love them now, obviously, and Tim rules and everything. But it was kind of one of those things where I was like right in that transitional period between like going into record stores and word of mouth and doing stuff by mail and the internet. So some things I saw on MySpace, and other things I see in record stores. Like sometimes they put up flyers and stuff, and I'm like, who's that? Check them out. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And I remember my dad was very excited when I started going to shows, because I would ask him to like bring us, and my dad would hang out. He would be like, I want to see the bands too. Shit.
Nice.
So yeah, especially like old school death metal bands. Like my dad's a big Immolation fan and stuff. So
nice.
Whenever they roll through, my dad's like, hell yeah. And Suffocation also he really loves. And he's like, I remember when he met Frank Mullen, and he was acted like it was the greatest day of his life. Like, don't tell your mother, but like so yeah, it's, and I think that's what kind of helped us like really keep checking out bands and really getting into it, is because my dad also kind of like encouraged that and was like, yeah, this is cool. It's like, he loved that we were just like out like meeting people and like not in the house, as like teenagers, because we drove our parents crazy. But yeah, so it's so funny because like if you ask someone even like 10 years older than me how they got into metal, it's like very different. But I kind of started out with record stores and stuff like that, and then eventually it turned into, oh yeah, just meeting people online. And then kind of like with Joabba and stuff, like now there's Unfest every year, but like
but you gotta come to one.
Oh, I know.
Next year, big one.
I know. I was actually supposed to go to a wedding this year, but they canceled it because there was snow. And I'm like, well, who the hell gets married in January? But I had to go. I had to take pictures of it, but they ended up rescheduling it to today, which also got rescheduled.
Oh wow.
So it's been like, yeah, it's been a pain, but yeah, I know I missed Unfest and I'm really bummed about it. I'll go one of these years, I promise.
It's funny because when you said about how you when you found the Iron Maiden album and you just pretty much took it off the cover, that was pretty much what me, Tone, and Rich at some point in our generation was. Picked up an album, sometimes you're gonna get a chance to hear it. The album cover looked cool, you took a chance. And I think maybe from your time that you did it, I think it's one of the last ones that's went and say, hey, pick it up from the cover and say, hey, let me give it a chance, and then get caught into the mix,
Yeah, because now they have like AI generated covers and stuff, and it's I'm not going to get into that because I have opinions, but it's a lot of people don't pay attention to the artwork now because yes, like physical like copies of like vinyl tapes, stuff like that exists, but it's like a very like small percentage of people actually still appreciate that. I feel, people just
Yeah.
want to hear the music on Bandcamp, and it's like it's not as much as like a like personal experience, because when you have like a physical item and you're looking at it and you're holding it and seeing all the notes, and like it's a little bit more like immersive. That's the word I'm looking for. It's
Yeah.
like very immersive. And, I think we lose that with just, releasing digital versions of albums, which is still cool, I guess. But like, for me personally, as an artist, I prefer stuff where I can have like, it's like a piece of art,
Yes,
because it's like someone took time to make that. So, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but, I think
I agree with it.
amongst us, we
I
all
agree.
agree. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You want to read the lyrics. You want to look at the the pictures inside and all
Yeah,
that.
you want to get immersed. You want to feel
Yeah.
everything what you're looking at, what you're hearing and looking at the same time. Yeah,
Right.
that's
Exactly.
all right, Rich.
Yeah, no. So, moving on to something else. My cousin had brought up something that I kind of knew a little bit about you, but I didn't know too much about. That you're into like, I guess like tarots and readings and stuff like that. So, I just wanted to know a little bit about it. I'm not too knowledgeable about it, so just like if you wanted to speak about that a bit.
Before she starts, I just want to
Uh-huh.
let everybody know she's done a couple for me, and I'm not saying it was because of that or thing, but had my best season when when she had read last year what I was gonna achieve. So
There
I
you go.
did this year as well. It was a good one, and she even did one for my daughter.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I did.
yes.
Um,
Go
So
ahead.
how did you get into that? Like, what made you, like, look down that avenue? Yeah.
yeah, so it's so funny because
Uh-huh.
like it's funny how life works. How I got into it initially was because of someone I don't even talk to anymore. I was like, also, I think it was about 14, 15. I was young. And my best friend at the time, her mom was Wiccan, and that's what she referred to herself as.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at her house one day. She's like, I gotta go pick up a few things from one of those, holistic places or whatever. And she's like, you come with me if you want. And I remember looking around and just being like, what is this? I was like, I came from a very religious upbringing. My family is like Roman Catholic because we are Italian. So,
Yeah.
it was very
Mhm.
it was very like looked down upon to like own something like a tarot deck or something like that. And like my grandma like was very like lenient with that, and she like read her horoscope. Like she was a little bit more receptive to it, I guess. But um I remember like going into that store and I found a tarot deck that I still have, and it just grabbed my attention. I'm like, I want to see what this is all about. And I didn't really have the resources like I do now to really understand like how to read and stuff like that. And kind of realizing that everyone is different. Like all tarot readers kind of do things a little bit differently. So the way that I do tarot readings is that it's very intuitive. So I would say about 6 years ago, I started practicing mediumship, which is
Hmm.
like a crazy thing to say, but I do practice mediumship, and I also do mediumship readings as well. That meaning connecting with loved ones that have crossed over. And if that is not your belief, that is okay. But that's what I do, and I integrate that into my tarot readings by connecting with someone's loved ones, and then they assist me with the tarot reading. So I pull cards intuitively, meaning I don't just take the one off the top of the deck. I kind of feel them out and go, okay, sometimes 3 cards will come out, sometimes tone knows like it's like 12 cards. It just
Yeah.
depends on what message needs to come across. And a lot of people that I do readings for, I ask, do you want me to ask something specific, or do you just want a general reading, meaning whatever comes out comes out? And I would say 9 times out of 10 people just want a general reading. Very rarely do I get stuff that's like specific to like a relationship or something like that. But initially I started tarot reading just because at that point in my life too, I was recognized as an adult in the church. So I didn't have to go to church anymore when I was 15. And I was like, well, I'm feeling lost because I didn't really subscribe to Catholicism. And I was like, I'm feeling a little lost. Like, I don't really know like what to believe, if I believe anything, and that's fine too. But I remember just diving into spiritualism, and that's where I felt very like, you know, like things started to make sense. And, I do tarot readings to help other people, because I have this, what I'll refer to as a gift, to where I can receive these messages. And, I believe it's, everybody's right to have access to this information if it involves them. So I do not charge up the ass for readings. Some people will charge hundreds of dollars. And if they do, they are ripping you off. So don't go to them.
Yeah.
Under $100, you're talking to someone legit. But, because I also understand too that not everybody has money, and people need like access to this information. So I did it as a way to help people, especially I had some pretty heavy, tragic stuff happen to me about 10 years ago. And just going through all that, it kind of like made me want to, connect more and just help other people. And, instead of just like, wallowing in misery, it's like, okay, I'm going to take this and, like turn it into something positive and, help other people that were like hurting how I was hurting, So, I mean, that's a little heavy, but, that's the gist of it, is that I started doing tarot readings as a way to help people. And mediumship is definitely like a discipline. It's very like, you have to, like, I meditate a lot, you have to focus, there's a lot of, it's not just like, and sometimes this happens, it's like when you hear about mediums, it's like, oh, you're just born with that, and this is just this thing that you can do. But that's not always the case. And with me, it was more so just like, I had this tragic thing happen to me, and now it's like I have a different perspective on light, and now I'm more receptive to things like this. So that's kind of where I came from with the tarot readings. And I enjoy helping people, of course, and I've done a couple like general readings that I've just posted to my Instagram and stuff, and you know people enjoy those too. But yeah, it's so funny, like I've been, of course there's always backlash with stuff like that, because there are many scammers when it comes to tarot. Like there are scammers like crazy, and people don't take you as seriously when they think you're Miss Cleo. You know what I mean? So it's difficult to build trust with people sometimes too, because they assume that they just, oh, you just want my money. That's, it's like, no, I don't. I charge a little bit, but that's mainly for my time. It's like I don't really care about the money aspect of it. I just do it to help people. So, and tarot reading, it's like I said, it's kind of taboo, but I've been working towards like, showing people that it's not like how it's been perceived. It's kind of like, think about the satanic panic in the 80s,
Yeah.
where people had all those misconceptions about things. And then you realize, oh no, they were reacting over nothing. So, it's kind of like that, where it's like, you don't have to agree with what I believe with, but just trust the messages that I'm relaying to you. And, I use the deck I use now is, I don't have it on me, but it's based on crows. And crows are kind of like my spirit animal. So, I find with that deck, I get like the most like clear messages. And I mean, Tone can vouch for that. There was some stuff that I said in previous readings where even he was like, holy shit. So, it's, I really enjoy doing it. It's not what I do all the time, just like when I get approached, but, it's the life of a Gemini, having many different things that you do, and none of them are like the same, like very cohesive. It's like I draw and I do tarot readings and other stuff. And it's just, I have all these things I enjoy doing. And, tarot is just another aspect of that.
Nice. Man, it's funny. It's funny you saying about the crow being your spirit animal. I mean, not to go with the whole Brandon Lee stuff or whatever. Some concepts of it could be with it, but that was something my wife always took into consideration when it came to seeing crows. If you was, I would be like out in the parking lot. If you saw a crow land near you and it started just japping, it was some type of message. And you know, so she would tell me her experiences of that, and then later on we would find out somebody not maybe a close family member, but somebody we knew might have passed away or something happened. There's always some type of warning or something that, you know, I mean, is that something that you connect with the crows with that? Is that
Oh
probably what
yeah.
it is?
They're messengers, and
Yeah.
especially messengers of the dead. So, you know, that's why like I call upon like crow energy, so to speak, when I do my tarot readings, because it's my way of connecting with like someone's loved ones and whoever's on the other side, and a way for me to facilitate that connection. And it's so funny, this morning actually, you know, it's snowing like hell outside today, and I hear like crows like outside my window. I'm like, what the guys, it's, you know, the state is closed, like what are you doing here, you know, like I'm just like, what is going on? And I heard crows outside my window, and I'm like, you know, immediately I go, because of the weather conditions, I'm like, oh, that's someone, I don't know who. I've, like I said, I'm Italian. I had a big family. I experienced a lot of death. It could be one of 80 million people that I, you know, have passed in my family. But, you know, it's, yeah, I definitely relate to that, just because, you know, I also relate to the deity, the goddess, the Morgan, who's like the goddess of crows, the Celtic goddess of crows. And, you know, a lot of like what, you know, she symbolizes and stuff is stuff that I resonate with. So that's the other reason I use crows. But yeah, no, dude, I definitely believe like crows are like, you know, I don't want to say ominous or like, you know, send omens or anything like that, but they are the messengers of the dead. So I've also had that similar experience to your wife, where it's like you hear a crow and you're like, oh God, what the hell? You
Yeah.
know, like what's happening? And sometimes it wasn't always necessarily death, but then something the next day would happen. And I'm like, oh, the crow warned me.
Yep. All right. All right. Who that was you, Rich, right? I know you, Tone.
Yeah. My question to you is from the a couple of real quick questions. From Iron Maiden, what is your favorite album?
It's got to be the first album, man. I love Paul
First?
Diano.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right. So,
I mean, it was the first one I listened to, but my favorite song from Iron Maiden is Purgatory, which is from Killers. But I always Paul Diano something, and I love, you know, Bruce era Iron Maiden, of course, also. But I think one of the besides their first album, the first Bruce album I own was Number of the Beast. And, you know, I just remember listening to that, and it was like a different band almost, you know. That's what I always say. I don't try to compare the two because they're very different to me, except for that Maiden riff, you know, the riff.
The galloping.
Yeah.
The galloping. Yeah, that's Maiden. That's
Oh
Maiden.
yeah. So, and
You
I
know, it's
hear that
Maiden.
riff, or just, you know, when they harmonize and stuff like that, I'm just like, ooh, like, yes, that's Iron Maiden. But yeah, no, I gotta say the first album, just because I've listened to it probably a million, I'm not exaggerating, like a million fucking times. Like I could bring Lauren in here right now and she would tell you, you have driven me crazy with this album because I play it so much. But um, dude, yeah, it's gotta be first album, self-titled, but favorite song is Purgatory.
Nice.
and
That's what,
the last quick question was, how did you get into black metal? Now I know that's your now number one thing.
Black metal, I'm trying to think, because it's so funny, like when I was getting into stuff, it all kind of like overlapped. um I think like the first black metal album I really owned, I mean, I guess using this term loosely, is a Dissection, Storm of the Light's Bane. And I just remember listening to them, and it was, you know, very melodic. So I was like, okay, this is like really, you know, cool. And it made me think of like Iron Maiden, because, you know, it was like harmonizing and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, this is really cool. But as far as like the first black metal album I owned, like we're talking about like, you know, it's got to be like Dark Throne. Like I remember I got Transylvanian Hunger because the cover on it, again with the artwork, I was like, this is intense. I'm like, what
Yeah.
is this? And then just that, you know, lo-fi kind of sound that comes with black metal, where it sounds like it's being recorded in a room 3 rooms away. And I don't, there was something about it that was very raw and very like, you know, it sounded like ghosts to me, you know, like ghosts haunting a house. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, what is this? And I remember it was very quick for me to get into black metal because around that time the internet was very prevalent. So it was like look up similar artists to Dark Throne, and then it's like Mayhem, Burzum, you know, all the classics. And then you got bands like I remember listening to Krieg a lot. And well, when they were, you know, not terrible. I remember listening to Knock Mystium. And, you know, I know that band is a little controversial because dude's a dickhead, but,
right.
You know.
But he put US black metal up there. He was one of the first.
Yeah, and Absu also was another band that I really, you know, loved and gravitated towards. And I remember Absu was like, I remember listening to them for the first time and I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Because, you know, he does like all these different vocal styles, proscriptor, and um there was like some instrumental parts and some other shit. And I just remember thinking like, this band is weird. You know, I was like, this is weird. But then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, I get it, you know, and they're still one of my favorite bands. And I remember listening to Bethlehem a lot too. And I know they were kind of like the godfathers of like, you know, DSBM and stuff, but I wasn't never really into that kind of thing. But I did love Bethlehem because his vocals were, or the vocals in general, were just so chaotic, you know, and it just sounds like, you know, mental patients, you know, like you given a microphone and you're just like, what is happening here? But, you know, it all kind of overlaps because it's, you know, at that time where it's like, okay, I found this one album, you know, and then I read Lords of Chaos also, the book. I had a friend that let me borrow it and I was like, you know, and that there's a lot of information in there. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's kind of how it started for me. And it's just, you know, what it gravitated towards. And Satanic War Master was kind of like, when I found them, I was like, okay, like this is the pinnacle, you know, but it's so funny. Like, I still listen to them very regularly, and like, even Marduk, I listen to a lot, and oh god, like so many other bands, and you know, now with watching, you know, like even just TheWitchingHour, because I know Carl specifically plays a lot of black metal. I'm being introduced to it more, and it's like, what the hell is her name? Grieve, which is another excuse me, Satanic War Master, dude from Satanic War Master, one of his side projects. I really love them. And I find myself finding like bands that really appeal to me more. And I'm just like, hell yeah. So, yeah, with black metal, it was always just kind of like, and it's funny because Lauren is a death metal person. Like she really loves Dismember and Autopsy and, can't think, you know, Dismember especially, but it's so funny because, you know, her husband, my brother-in-law, plays black metal, and he doesn't really listen to much death metal. And Lauren's like, she's like, did he marry the wrong twin? Like, what the hell is going on here? But you know, but I listen to death metal too, just not nearly as much as black metal, of course. But yeah, it's you know, it's always just been my preference just because it reminded me more of like, you know, things that I'm interested in, like, you know, especially like black and white horror movies, you know, like silent films and stuff. There's a lot of parallels between like black metal, like visuals, and silent films, you know, where it's very like grainy, high contrast, black and white type stuff. Like, just, I don't know. So, like I said, that's what inspires my art. So it's always been my jam.
Awesome. Yes. So, Meg, this is not going back to you know, some of your belief structure and some of the stuff that you're into. You talked about your family being, you know, I guess hardcore Catholics. I mean, we all been through families like that. I mean, I was baptized Catholic. Most of us Puerto Ricans are usually baptized Catholic because we got to have a party afterwards. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I kind of like did away as far as like religious aspects and whatnot, and pretty much just went with real life. I started getting more into not more of a belief structure, but more of a feeling. Like my wife, she's gotten more into some of the stuff. Like I got hooked on Hecate. Hecate, that's my girl. I love Hecate. Hecate, I just felt like a connection with her. I'm even going to try to see if I get a nice tattoo on my leg with her with the three faces and everything. The
Oh,
key,
hell yeah.
everything. It's just something with her. I mean, I was going through a rough time, and my wife she has an altar with her on there, and I just kind of looked at her and I told her, Hecate, to help me, and she did, and I looked at that as a way of my connection with that. So my question to you is, considering with that where you was raised in a Catholic home, and I know there's some ins and outs. Has there been any like real backlash from some of your family members, like maybe kind of shunning you or things of that nature?
Oh, yeah, my mom.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my mom and I have been butting heads for many, many years. But it's funny, and I'm gonna admit this. I had a great uncle who is no longer with us that was a Roman Catholic priest, and I still have two aunts that are Filipini nuns,
Wow.
and they're elderly now. They're like in their 80s or 90s, but um, you know, they it's funny. A lot of the stuff that I like learned growing up was from the nuns, because we're not turning this into a therapy session. My mom was MIA. So, like I learned a lot of stuff from the nuns, and there were some things I took away that were like, really good and positive, but there was a lot of that took away that even at a young age I went, this is not okay. And I remember one time we went to go visit my aunts. I lived down in Jersey, and at the time they were staying at like a convent, I guess, that was like right on the beach, which is pretty bizarre. And I remember showing up, and I had a bad religion pin on my bag, the cross with
Ross. Oh
the
yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
line. And my aunt saw that, ripped it off my bag, and threw it into the Atlantic. So, I was
Wow.
like, I mean, I don't know what the hell I was expecting showing up to a convent with that, but I remember like thinking like, dude, like what gives her the right to do that? Like that's, first of all, it was a band. Second of all, like even if you disagree with that, you don't do that to someone else's property, but she felt like she was entitled to. And
Mm.
especially with the Italians, there's everyone's very nosy and in your business, and wants to dictate your life. But so that's kind of what I dealt with, and I was just like, I don't want to be told what to believe anymore. And I just distanced myself from that, and like even my mom became more lenient over time. She kind of like accepted like, well, this is how she is, so I'm not gonna push anything. But there are times, in my adult life where my mom has asked me to go to church and I did, just because, it was either like a holiday or it was like a funeral or something, like it was, I was like, okay, I'll go, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm participating. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, growing up Catholics too, especially like, it's very rigid. And it's kind of like what you said too. A lot of it is about like aesthetics. Like, yeah, when I got baptized, I think the whole city of Bristol was like at the after party. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's very much about, and us being twins also. So my grandma and one of the nuns are twins. And yeah, we were the first set from the next generation of twins. And then I have cousins that are twins also. So we got twins in the family, but being twins, it was like, there was a lot of pressure for us to like, and or being the oldest of the next generation too. Like there was a lot of pressure of us to be like examples and this, that, and the other thing. And, go to church, do this, like get married at 22 or whatever they wanted me to do, and I did not want to do any of that. I kind of want to do whatever the hell I wanted. I always had like, what my grandpa referred to as the punk rock attitude because I just, didn't want to be told like you have to wear this, believe this, do this, whatever. And um, so in a way it's like as much as it was like frustrating to grow up in that kind of environment, it also like kind of pushed me into, how I am today. And, I kind of use what I learn, even in my tarot readings, just imparting wisdom on others of like, you don't have to listen to anyone and don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Ultimately, and we call this spirit workers, call this free will. So the cards can say one thing, but ultimately you have free will to do whatever you want. So you don't have to take my advice. And that is our choice as humans, and
Yeah.
um so that's what I tell everyone. You have free will. You are not tethered to anything specifically. Think, as a child, I felt that way. That's why I don't know if you can see it behind me. I have a flag of the devil tarot card.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder for me that, because with the devil, there's like the two people and they have like chains around them, but they're loose. So they can leave whenever they want, but they think they can't. So that's a reminder to me of like, you're not tethered to shit, like you can go. And growing up the way I did kind of is what perpetuated that mindset. So it was a very long-winded way of me saying like, yeah, it sucked, but now it doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's.
Nice.
I mean, that's something that, because I mean, when you I guess grow through that. I mean, the one person I always give thanks to is my dad. Even though we did the whole Catholic thing, baptized me, and so on and so forth, he was never. I mean, he was a he had faith, but he wasn't into any of the religion. He didn't follow the religion. He had his own opinions about the religions, and he just had his faith. And he told me as I got a little older, he said, "Look, follow whatever you want. I'm not going to push you into anything you don't believe in or you don't feel like it. I'm not going to, he gave me that feel. So, and as growing up, I always had that where if I decided to grab on something, I could just go with it. And I told my kids the same thing as they grew up. You could go ahead. You want to go to Sunday school, go to Sunday school. If you want to go, check out this religion, go check it out. Whatever your calling is, I am not going to tell you you have to believe what I believe. And I think that's the best thing you could do for your children, is to give them that free will to explore their own beliefs instead of saying this is what you have to believe in.
Right.
And
I agree.
and I think that's cool. I mean, unfortunately, I'm sure with what was going on between your dad and your mom, there was always going to be that conflict between them,
Yeah.
having you, oh, she's got to do it like this. No, but what do you mean? And that used to happen with my dad too. He used to get, he used to get a lot of blunt of it because he didn't want me. The final say came from him because it had to be both parents, not just one.
Right.
So if he said no and she said yes, then it just forget it. It just wasn't happening.
Oh yeah, that was kind of my experience also, where it's like my mom would say like, like some of the shirts that I wore,
Mhm.
like would be, a little inappropriate. I did have that one famous Cradle of Filth shirt that we all
Mhm.
know. And
Mhm.
I remember, it's probably not the best thing for a 14-year-old to be wearing, but my mom freaked out. And my dad even came to my defense. It was like, it's just a shirt, like it's a band. They're doing it for shock value. And my mom's like, no, not in my Christian household, like she gets so fucking mad. And, she would like take some of my, shirts and like get rid of them. Like she would throw them away.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was because she didn't agree with it. Like if it was anything religious, like straight up like mortician, like it's gore and stuff, like she didn't really care. But like if it was like an upside down cross, forget about it. Like she was, my like even some, you see like some of my stuff I collect back here. I collect, action figures, dolls, stuff like that. And I had life-size Chucky and Tiffany dolls in my room at one point.
Oh
And
my.
yeah, she said to me, if those things come downstairs, I'm throwing them away. And I said, okay. And they never left the room. And I just had them. But, she was very adamant on like, you're a lady and you should be acting ladylike, even though you like Godzilla and shit, like it was, I don't know. The 90s is wild because it was, especially that time too, it was very about like, you know, these are meant for boys and this is meant for girls, especially that was my experience growing up. It's like, everything you had to own was pink. And I'm like, I fucking hate pink. I don't want everything to be pink, and
Yeah.
so that's very much like how I grew up too. It was just like, you know, I'm gonna say it like this, gender roles, and then there was, you know, the religious aspect and stuff too. They were all just things that contributed to me just kind of like finding my person and going like, you know, I'm not going to subscribe to this because, you know, I agree. Like, I think that's something that we have to figure out ourselves. Like, it shouldn't be forced on us. And that's why I don't really care for organized religions because they don't give you that freedom or that option. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So that's one thing we don't do on the podcast. We don't talk about religion or politics, but we're doing it today. Maybe not politics, but you know,
Yeah.
screw it.
Yeah, yeah. We always talk about religion here. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, you got something there?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, like you seem knowledgeable about so many different things, and I just was interested in like what kind of books are you into? Like maybe what some of like you like some of the stuff you like nonfiction, fiction, or some authors or something that you know like artistic, like certain artists that you like that really inspire you.
Oh man, as far as like books, here's the thing. I'm bad about reading books nowadays.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I do the occasional audiobook and stuff like that, but um it's I don't know. It's hard to say like, you know, I'm one of those people that just like I'm like on a quest for knowledge always. You know, I just like learning about different things and you know, different like cultures and stuff like that and just kind of, you know, informing myself just purely out of curiosity most of the time. Like how many times, and I know this is like a meme, but it's like there's so many times where it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like watching the history of how carousels were made. You know what I mean? Like it's such a random thing. But you know, I love I have carousels in my house. And they're just, I don't know, it's just something that interests me. So it just comes from just like I've always kind of been that way, just had a natural curiosity about things. And as far as like the stuff that I read, I do read a lot of like oh god, what the hell is his name? I can't think of it right now, of course, because I'm blanking. The Pendergast series. um it's oh god, I can't think of their names, but it's like two authors and they make this series about this one weird ass detective that does all these crazy cases. And you know, there's a lot of like stuff about archaeology in there, and it's like, well, I don't know shit about archaeology. I'm not an archaeologist, you know. So but you know, I learned some stuff like, you know, just by reading that. And it's like, you know, I love all different kinds of things. My favorite book of all time is a book called Dark Debts, by Karen Hall, and it's about possession. Literally, it's like a Catholic priest sitting there kind of going like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, and then they're like, we need you to perform an exorcism. He's like, what? So
All
it's kind
right.
of like The Exorcist in a way, but you know, it's there's a lot more to. I'm doing a bad job at summarizing it, but you know, I just like to read things that interest me. I'm also a big Tim Burton fan.
Mm.
If we couldn't get that vibe already, I definitely love, like, he inspires a lot of my art. And you know, I have some of his books and stuff too. And um I just really loved like how he would just use whatever the hell he wanted to create his artwork. Like we went and saw his exhibit like years ago at the Museum of Modern Art, and you know, next to all the artwork it says like, you know, the mediums that were used and stuff, and like half of them he was using crayons. And I'm
Mm.
like, I did not think it was crayons, but I'm like, who the hell thinks, you know what, I'm going to use this shitty crayon to make some artwork, you know, like as an adult it's like you don't really, it's like I was using colored pencils and stuff, but you know, he was like, screw it, I'm gonna use a crayon and like a highlighter or something. And it's just like, you know, I always found that very inspiring because you know, a lot of the portraits I do, I just use like, and this I do have in front of me, I use this like a number two pencil, you know,
Mm.
or a mechanical pencil, I'm sorry.
My daughter
And
likes to use those.
yeah, no, they're great. I
Yeah.
love them. And, you know, they're good to write with, but I love them for drawing because it gives me control of like the shading and stuff. But people use other pencils and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, I like finding inspiration in like unexpected places. Like, I'm one of those people who, you know, falls on the weird side of the internet, you know, and that's kind of how the podcast, you know, where that came from too. But especially around here in Connecticut, there's a lot of like little like antique malls and like just weird places that you can go, and you always find all kinds of stuff there. And I one of the carousels I own, actually, I got from one of these places, and it was from like a company that doesn't exist anymore, and then I found more of their stuff. So I kind of like, it's like I stumble upon things and then I just kind of go, all right, I want to learn more about this. And a lot of the stuff that I read also, when I do read, kind of comes from like a place of almost like escapism. And I do love books about like this is gonna sound so fucked up. I love books about death just because, I did work as a mortician for a few years of my life.
Wow.
And it was an experience. And I think that's what also kind of drove my tarot readings also, was being on the opposite end of that, of being able to help people without having to be hands-on, if you catch my drift. So it's like um just being around death so much, like kind of also influence like the kind of things that I'm interested in. Like that's why I love antiques, because this belongs to someone that isn't here anymore, and
That's a good thing. Man, I like that.
yeah, and like, I love Beetlejuice because he kind of like goes between back and forth, like between, the other side and then the human world, as they put it, and it's like I always love stuff that kind of like blurred the line a little bit. And that's kind of where, like, as far as like, artistic inspiration and just like stuff that I read and the stuff that I, know just comes from, you know, stumbling upon things and, kind of just letting my curiosity take me where it wants to go. It's like I'm a cat, like, cats get curious about something and they go investigate it. You know what I mean? Like they're very much like, well, let's see what happens if I, check this out. So, that's just kind of how I am.
Nice. Cool.
All
So,
right.
So
Well, my question to you, because I know that we see that you're a horror fan. So you prefer more the classics, like the Universal monsters, black and white, over say like the '80s and modern horrors from now.
Yes. So I love the Universal Monsters, of course. And there's you guys got to come up here and visit this place, especially you, Tone. There's a place in Plainville, Connecticut called the Witch's Dungeon. And it's a wax museum. And the guy that owns it is a guy named Cortland Hull. And his great uncle is Henry Hull, who was the werewolf in London, I think.
oh,
And
sweet.
Yeah,
yeah,
the first one before they did the Wolfman,
yes.
the
So he was like the
1930s.
original, because
Yeah.
Cortland Hull now, I mean, God, he's got to be like in his 80s or something. He's like really old now. So he has this little museum, and he got into special effects and stuff and made wax figures of all, the Marvel, like not Marvel, Universal monsters, and just like all the classics. He's got like props from like movies. He's got like the head of Reagan from The Exorcist that was used in the movie, that one that spun around, and like all these cool like Godzilla stuff and like all this stuff. And it's a cute little place that's here. um it's funny because he used to just have a little exhibit in his house in Bristol, which is where I live, and you pay a quarter to go see all his stuff. And now it's a little bit bigger. He's got like these big sets and stuff that he made. And he was, like friends with Vincent Price. So he'd have like famous people come sometimes. And, you know, so we had that history in Bristol. Because my mom has lived here most of her life, and she said she remembered going as a kid. And she is the one that actually liked the black and white horror movies, which is so funny because we do not see eye to eye on most things. But
Yeah.
that was the one thing where she was like, oh yeah, like I love these movies. And of course, my mom also likes that movie, The Ghost of Mr. Chicken or whatever. It's such a stupid movie, but she's like, oh, I like every Halloween, she's like watching Vincent Price. It's I don't know. I'm definitely one of those people where it's like I find something I like, and then I don't know if any of you guys are like this, but I just kind of like play the shit out of it. And then I'm like, okay, I'll move on to the next thing to, run into the ground. You know what I mean?
I
So
hear you.
yeah, I'm definitely one of those people.
All right, and well, I guess I could throw this at you, going off Tone's question. Considering you said as far as classic horror and stuff like that, I mean, is there anything else besides that that you? I mean, I know you said your sister's more of the geek, but are you into like? See, I'm a big Godzilla and Star Wars fan. So besides horror, I'm huge. I love Godzilla. That's my man. So I mean, are you into any of those outside genres? You know, that's those type of movies.
Oh yeah, like I love the Godzilla movies. Obviously, I love Godzilla. I also love Gamera.
Oh,
um,
man,
yeah,
Gamera.
Gamera, like, well, because they did all the Gamera movies on Mystery Science Theater. That's how I first learned about them. And I was like, who the hell is Gamera? And then, the episodes were hilarious. But, we well, I eventually, got into that and just not really a Star Wars. I don't know. I never really got into Star Wars stuff like that. My era more so was like Harry Potter.
Okay, okay, okay.
And stuff like that. That's definitely like a millennial thing is Harry Potter, but as far as like a franchise is concerned, but yeah, no, I love um like what's it called? Like I remember watching the Power Rangers as a kid and
Yeah.
I still do, and just like Ultraman and stuff like that was very Japanese, very cool. It was always like on my radar. But yeah, my sister is more so into like anime and stuff like that. But she'll watch Godzilla too and stuff like that, but it's not really her bread and butter, not like
What
me.
what about like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones? Those things.
I watched Lord of the Rings for the first time like recently, and which is crazy. You know why? Because Carl bullied me into doing it. No, I'm just kidding. But I remember saying that to him, and I was like, dude, I've never seen Lord of the Rings. He was like, it is so wild to me that you listen to black metal. He's like, every black metal chick I've ever met loves Lord
Loves
of the
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. I just, because why? Because they're long. It's a
Yeah.
commitment,
Yeah.
and I just never committed. And I told Carl, okay, like I'm gonna have a few weeks where I'm like not doing much. I'll watch the movies. And I did. And I still I like Lord of the Rings, but I think I was too late to the party, and I think if I watched them initially, like when they first came out, I probably would be like everyone else and on board. But I think I just watched it too. It's kind of like what people say about Kiss. Like if you didn't love them initially or like growing up or whatever, it's like harder to get into them later in life.
Mhm.
I don't know.
That's
I
true.
love Kiss. So,
Right?
you
And
know.
you think if you think that was a commitment, they have actually director's cuts that each movie's close to 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Oh, the cut is 4
Yeah, the
hours.
cut.
Okay.
Yeah. Each cut is close to 4 hours long. So if you really want to commit yourself, you can do that.
You know
That
what
is
you can do if you want to
hilarious.
take a shortcut? Just watch the anime that they released in the 70s.
Yep,
Okay.
the anime is good too. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
anime
all
is
I
really
got.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it just because, it's so funny because I love Stephen King movies too. And, like it is, such a great movie to me. The original, not the remake.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Tim Curry one. But
yeah.
my favorite movie of all time is actually Rose Red, which is more like a mini series. And that's like a 4 hour commitment.
Yeah, you had told me to watch that. I started it with my daughter, and then we have not gotten back to it. Now that you reminded me, I got to finish
You
watching
got to
it.
get back to it. It gets
Yeah.
good. It's inspired by the Winchester Mystery House. And so it's like a haunted house movie, but the house basically like builds itself. It's really cool. Um, I always love that movie. I don't know. It's like one of the things like when we had our like movie rental store, we had like a small one up the road. When they closed, they just gave me Rose Red because I'd rented it so much that they
That's
were like, you could
nice.
just have this,
That's
and I was like,
nice.
thank you, so I probably was like half their revenue. But I so I'm not opposed to long movies because my favorite is literally, it's long as hell. But um I think it was just one of those things where I was kind of late to the party, and I was like, okay, like I get it. I see why people like this, but it's hard to immerse yourself in a franchise, I think later on in life. I don't know. That's how I feel. Like, because people say the same thing about Harry Potter. They're like, how could you even like that stuff? Like, how do you even like? I was like, I grew up reading the book. Like the books came out, I was like 7. And my second grade teacher read the first book to us whatever. Education was different back then, and
Yeah,
you know,
right now it'd be blasphemy
yeah.
to even
And
read that book in class.
yeah, she also read the book Twister to us about the huge tornado. I was terrified that we were going to die in a tornado for like weeks. So I don't know what the hell was up with that. But, I remember, when it came out, it was very prevalent and popular amongst children my age. And then we grew up with it. So, the last guy I dated was a little bit older than me, and he refused to watch those movies with me because he was like, I don't get it. He's like, I don't want to watch this. I don't get it. Like, what? And I'm like, I respect that, because if you asked me to do the same thing with Star Wars, I'd probably say the same thing. Though I have seen Star Wars movies, I wouldn't call myself an avid fan like, some other people.
Yeah, you're just an average watcher. You just, if it's
Yes.
on, you'll sit there, you'll look at it, enjoy it for what it is. I get it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I won't grill you just yet.
Thank you. Well, because seriously, I appreciate it, of course. It's just I haven't watched it nearly as much, and that's just, I don't know, that's how I feel about things. Because you get some people out there that get so offended where it's like, but this is my livelihood, and it's like, well, I get that, but you don't have to like jump down my throat either. We can just like what we like. So
Right.
Or you haven't been too much with Star Wars. Star Wars fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're told, to be fair, that new mall coming out might be, looks dark
Right.
as fuck.
All right, next question.
Right. Go ahead, Rich.
I think I'm tapped out. We talked about the tariffs, the art, the music. I don't think I have any more questions. I mean, do you have anything on the horizon that maybe any projects or anything to look forward to that, on your end, maybe art wise or something coming up on, you want to promote the latest episode of your podcast, anything that you like to put out there?
Yeah, I mean, aside from just doing, the Kai album, which will be, I don't know when that's coming out. It'll be soonish. I think they said sometime February, but don't quote me on that. That's, will be announced soon. And I don't know when our next episode's gonna be, but you can subscribe to us on YouTube if you want. And see, like, we upload like maybe once every 2 months. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, it's very infrequent. But our next episode, and I made a comment in the last episode about like joking like, haha, we're gonna do conspiracy theories next. And now people are like, we're waiting for that episode, and I'm like, shit, I gotta do conspiracy theories. So we kind of danced around doing that for a while, just because people get really weird around conspiracies, and I didn't want like some tinfoil hat wearing dude like hitting me up with like, just like, what I think about that. It's like, I don't give a shit what you think.
Exactly,
so yeah, so we're I think the conspiracy episode is coming. I think we're gonna
Should be
do
interesting.
fuck it. Yeah, we're like,
Nice.
fuck it, let's just do it.
Nice.
If you ever do it, I would like to tell you a couple of conspiracies that I know about that you might enjoy putting on your show.
Dude, message me, because we're like, I looked at Lauren yesterday. I was like, what the hell are we going to talk about? I don't know that many conspiracy theories, except for like, maybe the Mandela effect stuff. I don't even know if that's a conspiracy. See, I don't know. Like, I'm going to have to do some research.
Well, that kind of hit everybody, because there's times I swear that I seen the newspaper, the Post put down the Mandela died.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
I don't know. We're gonna have to think of it. Definitely message me though, like, sometime, because I don't know what the hell we're gonna talk about, but we're doing it because I said it, and now it has to happen apparently. Because even Lauren was like, "Should we just do it?" And I'm like, "Fuck it, I guess." Yeah, I guess we're gonna do it, man. So yeah, you can look forward to that.
Well, we already know.
My last question. No, I don't have no more questions. I just want to know, what are your 5 favorite black metal bands? That's it. Yeah, I'm done.
Ooh, I gotta pick 5.
Or pick 3. Whatever.
Let's see.
Off the top of the head, they don't have to be in any order. Just like personal favorites.
We'll say Satanic War Master.
Yes.
Good.
Krieg. I'm trying to think what I listen to most. Can we say Ancient Torment?
Yeah.
Because I listen to them like crazy. Oh God, I love Dark Throne, and I'm trying to think of one more.
Well, you are old. You like all of Dark Throne?
Yeah, all Dark Throne, all of it. Like, I love even the weird, like crusty type stuff. Love it. I don't know. I feel like they can't do any wrong.
All right.
Last one being probably I'll say, did I say dissection already?
No,
No,
not yet.
Oh,
Dissection. We'll say
no.
that. There you go.
all right.
Nice.
All right. So I'm going to give you a couple of things. First off, as far as Tone talking about with his conspiracy theories, one of my conspiracy theories is that every single time the sketchy boys go into a town, violence erupts. So I don't know what kind of, that's some serious conspiracies going on over there. But come on, Tone, Ohio. Yeah, we already saw something. I'm just saying, sketchy boys go somewhere, some weird violence happens. So you could talk about that in your conspiracy show. I'm just saying.
There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
footage of us doing any kind of violence.
All right. So my other one says I'll go off with Tone. So how about this? I mean, since we're going with your art, give me 5 albums that's your favorite art.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if this counts as an album, but the Purgatory artwork for Iron Maiden, where it's like half demon, half Eddie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of my favorites. I have I have to turn it, but I have a giant flag next to me of that artwork.
That's awesome.
Anything Beharit, Chris Moyen, like that style. I'm gonna put that as one collective because he has, very distinct style. Shit, I'm trying to think. As far as like album covers, speaking dissection, Storm the Lightsbane with the Grim Reaper and the horse and stuff.
That's classic.
Always fucking love that.
Yes.
And the other one, the other famous album they have too, the blue cover.
The Somber Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're both great covers,
Yeah.
but I always love the horse.
Yeah.
I always gravitated towards that. And I'm gonna say this too, and although I don't listen to this album that much, the Misfits Famous Monsters cover,
Oh, okay.
because it was done by by Basil Gogos, who did the Famous Monsters what was it, magazine, whatever it was. And I'm trying to think one more. Shoot. We're gonna go Welcome to Hell. Venom.
Oh wow.
Just distinct, it's just iconic. One of those things where it's like, it's simple, effective. You see that, it's Venom. There's no questions asked, like, because a lot of like black metal bands use the same imagery and stuff like that. But yeah, I would definitely say Venom. Welcome to Hell.
Very cool.
I have a quick question. It just came to me because Barry mentioned art. Do you want to mention any like particular, like either young artists or people out now doing art that people should check out, that you're like, damn, these aside to what I'm doing, these other people are doing something creative, that's worth checking out?
And you guys might know who this is, Carl Dahmer. He's done a lot of like t-shirt designs and stuff like that for bands, and he has a very distinct art style, and definitely check out his artwork. He is a really cool guy, really nice. I've bought some of his artwork before, and definitely I would check him out. I'm trying to think artists. Shit, I know so many. One of my favorite artists that I follow, her name is Chiara Bautista, and she's actually married to James O'Barr, who did the Crow comics.
Cool.
And her artwork shows a lot of like, Crow imagery and stuff like that. And it's a little cutesy, but I love her artwork. So definitely check her out. Oh God, there's so many. I can't think off the top of my head, but definitely trust me on Carl Dahmer. He does some really good stuff. And I know as soon as we end this call, like I'm gonna think of like 60 more.
That's always the case. That's always the case.
So
Yep,
definitely just Instagram is just a place to go. Like Instagram is the best place to go find artists. Like if you're looking for a logo or something, like definitely. And oh my God, I can't think of his name, but the guy that does the artwork for Ancient Torment.
Yeah, that's a good profile.
Yeah, I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, but he's also another one. I think he lives like in the Philippines or something.
Nice.
But he does a lot of artwork for bands from this area, which I think is really funny. But yeah, there's so many different, like, when you go on social media now, there's like so many different people. It's like hard to like pinpoint, but Carl teaches classes. That's why I mentioned him. So if you want to do horror style art and stuff like that, because a lot of his stuff is very bloody and violent and stuff like that. I
Nice.
would definitely check him out. So, and buy some of his t-shirts because he's done quite a few. He did a design for Manicore. I think you get that at Hell's Headbangers and Ruin. I know he did a long sleeve for them a while ago. Um, oh, and obviously our Lord and Savior Mark Riddick, who is one of
Of
my biggest
course.
inspirations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
how could I forget Mark Riddick? Because I have two of his prints in front of me right now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably mention him. But we all know who he is, but he does some great stuff. I think Carl said he's doing the cover for the next Pius Levis release, and
Nice.
he did his logo for the Witching Hour and stuff, and he just has always done great work. Has been I think I have like an art book or something with all of his um artwork in it, and it's cool to like be able to connect with people like this on social media also, and like find each other and like support each other. It's just like because I've been doing commissions and stuff like that since 2012, so that was, I don't know how many years ago. Oh, I would say, shit, is it 15 years, 16
Almost,
years?
yeah,
16.
going on
Yeah.
15.
For,
Yeah.
Shit, it's a long time. So I've been doing it for a while now. And, even back then, even though, social media was still kind of prevalent, it's hard to connect with other artists sometimes. And especially that, do the kind of stuff that I like or that I'm into. So, yeah, I would definitely just, if you're looking for artwork, just like, you know, support small businesses. That's where I like to go. Small business, you'll probably get something that's more high quality, honestly,
Yep.
because,
Yep.
That's true.
yeah, stuff that's mass produced can be a little lazy and sloppy sometimes, at least in my experience. So, support your local artists. AI should only be used for those funny videos that you make, Barry. And that's
that's
it,
right.
you know?
That's it. That's it. That's all I do is just that's the only fun part about it. Just for that. But when it comes to actual art, I agree. It should come from the actual artists themselves. That's why with those cover albums and stuff like that, when I see them doing AI generated stuff, I'm like, come on, man. I mean, you got some great artists out there that could do great stuff for you. Why go through all that? It's lazy.
Yeah.
It's lazy.
Yeah, I agree.
But I got one small little thing that I wanted to ask you as well.
Mhm.
Considering that you've been you are a part of this great community, I always wanted to ask, how did you basically who was the first channel that you got involved with where basically it blossomed up to you getting involved with everybody else?
Oh, it was Francisco. It was Jamming Out All Badass. And I watched it. Actually, it's funny. The first time I actually watched um the show was when he had on Russ and Ray of Absu. And
Mm.
I remember
Mhm.
watching that interview
Yep.
when it happened. Excuse me. And then I didn't really watch afterwards. I remember watching that with my ex, and he, you know, he was a nightmare to deal with. So I didn't really have time to watch. But then once he and I broke up, um, I remember Chris Gamble, Mazadaris, he was on doing his 1980s playlists, and I
Yeah.
remember him posting about it. Chris and I have been friends for a long time, and he's like one of my closest friends, I would say. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh yeah, I've watched that show before. I'll watch it. And then I remember going on and, excuse me, everybody being so cool, and just like, I was like, I just kept watching because I was like, oh yeah, this is like really cool, and it's like everyone was super like welcoming and like, despite me being a female, I'll put it that way, like because it's mostly gentlemen that watch these shows, and I say gentlemen loosely because Mike V exists, but but I'm kidding. I love you, Mikey. But yeah, I was like, I kept watching because I was like, oh yeah, the people were really cool. And, like Francisco would like, he would just share some hilarious shit sometimes. And it was very much my sense of humor. And, it just kind of, and then I started watching Carl, the Witching Hour, because he would be, there also. And, just kind of then we learned about you guys and then Shredbeard and everyone else that's on YouTube, like I just kind of through word of mouth. It was like the first time ever that like through word of mouth I've been hearing about things and people, and I'm just like, whoa, this is cool. It's very different from like, how I've been connecting with people in the past. So yeah, no, it was Francisco was the first channel I watched, and you know he he cracks me up, so I kept watching because just like some of his jokes and stuff, and he loves Clerks like I do too. That's like one of my favorite movies is Clerks. And I remember he had made a reference to, I forgot what it was, but he made a Clerks reference, and I was like, all right, you're all right, kid. So it's like I kept coming back, and here I am.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But Megan, we want to thank you for being a part of this community, and we all, it's great that we all get to support each other and give each other our space to bring out to everybody else who maybe hasn't heard about you. Also, when you get a chance, I mean, we'll talk about it afterwards. So get all your information. I can put it up onto the description, and everybody can go if they want to check out your art. There you go.
Hell yeah. And thank you so much for asking me. I've never been interviewed before. This is so weird for me. Yeah.
No?
Like here's the thing. I'm not a musician. I do artwork and stuff, but like, this is like, I'm usually the interviewer. I have people on the podcast and I'm interviewing, but it's weird to be on the other side and people ask me questions about myself because I'm like, oh shit, like, oh no, it's a new experience for me. So I really appreciate you guys having me on. You guys rule. Like I watch all the videos and like, I tell everyone like, fucking goat metal show, just and I wear this shirt that you sent me of Scar. And my sister Scar, being like, I don't know who Scar is, but I love him. He looks a lot like my boy Frost. So I was like, yeah, this is Scar. He's my best friend. So he doesn't know it yet, but we're best friends.
Oh yeah. He's knocked out right now, but he loves
the luxurious life of a cat.
Yeah, forget it. He hears that's one thing. He'll hear his name like when I'm watching stuff on TV. People say his name. He looks up. He'll start looking. I say, yeah. He knows. He knows.
I love that. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on. This is a fucking blast. You guys rule.
But thanks a lot, Maggie. I mean, just keep doing what you're doing, and we're gonna be keeping tabs. And maybe we'll do something else in the near future. Okay?
For sure. Always down to do anything.
All right. That's all. You got something, Rich?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's pretty much all we have right now. I want to thank Megan again for coming on to the show. Truly, truly appreciate it. Make sure you guys go and you check her out. We'll put all the links in there. You guys go and buy some art. God damn it. Buy art. Buy it, damn it. All right. So this Barry the Goat Master, Rich the silent producer, Toad Joker NYC. Want to thank everybody for checking us out. And we'll see you on the next one. This is Barry, that Goat Metal Show. Stay brutal.